Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Prasad Michael and you're watching KiniFlash. By this time tomorrow, Parliament would have been dissolved. This is according to Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak's speech, which was broadcasted live on RTM at around noon.
Selaras dengan peruntukan perkara 55 Perlembagaan Persekutuan, Baginda telah pun memperkenankan bagi Parlimen ke-13 dibubarkan berkuat kuasa pada hari Sabtu 7 April 2018.
After BN lost the popular vote to Pakatan Rakyat in GE13, Najib felt the need to remind Malaysians that the popular vote doesn't really matter. It's about who wins more seats.
Sebagai sebuah negara yang mengamalkan sistem demokrasi berparlimen dan raja berperlembagaan yang menjadi tunjang serta sebati dengan pemerintahan, kuasa untuk memilih kerajaan berada sepenuhnya di tangan rakyat. Apatah lagi, Malaysia sejak merdeka telah mengamalkan sistem pilihan raya first past the post, yakni berasaskan jumlah kerusi yang dimenangi dan bukannya berdasarkan kiraan undi popular yang sewajibnya difahami oleh semua pihak, khususnya melibatkan parti-parti yang akan bertanding dalam pilihan raya di negara ini.
Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, whose party Bersatu is facing a provisional dissolution order, has now accused Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak of killing democracy. According to Mahathir, Najib is not too fond of the system of democracy and is attempting to eliminate the opposition.
I am truly worried for this country. I knew that Najib does not tolerate any opposition, does not like the system of democracy. But now we see him actually denying democracy even for this election. What he is trying to do is to stop opposition from actually contesting. Particularly me lah, because the party, the Pakatan Harapan, has named me as their future Prime Minister. It is quite clear that his focus is on Parti Pribumi, because Parti Pribumi is able to attract Malay support away from UMNO. This he fears very much, and if possible, he would try to get rid of me. Maybe if he dares, he would arrest me. But so far, he is not dared to arrest me. Although what I say about him can cause him to sue me for defamation. What I worry is that we are losing democracy, especially the democratic right to choose our own leaders through election. We know for a long time he has been aiming to paralyze Pribumi. So what we are seeing is a negation of democracy. This country decided to have a democratic system, giving the people the right to choose the government, to form political parties, and to contest in election. What Ross has done is totally against the provision of the understanding of the function of a democracy. Ross is trying to eliminate our party, and myself in particular, from contesting in this election.
Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has also criticized the police and armed forces for supporting Prime Minister Najib. Mahathir said this was against the federal constitution, as the armed forces must be loyal to the king and country, not to prime ministers and governments. He recalled how former Filipino dictator Ferdinand Marcos fell from power after the security forces turned against him following the assassination of his political opponent.
So already the police are actually doing things which are against the role that we expect from the police. And of course, we find that many actions taken by the police are actually not in accordance with the law, but they really reflect Najib's wishes. The police, as I said, have done the same, but very disappointing is the statement made by the chief of the armed forces. Of course, later on he said that he was misunderstood. But nowadays, when you make a speech, like I'm talking now, it's recorded. You cannot change what is recorded. You may change some, but there will be others who would have the real recording. The Armed Forces Chief has declared that the Armed Forces should be loyal to the government and to the Prime Minister. This is totally against the Constitution. The armed forces must be loyal to king and country, not to prime ministers and their government. If the government does wrong, the armed forces should not support it. I just want to remind you about Marcos. President Marcos was elected to become president of the Philippines. Subsequently, he disregarded the constitution and became a dictator. He was able to be a dictator because he was supported at that time by the police and the army. But when he killed this Aquino, the police and the army under Ramos and really decided not to support him. At that stage, he collapsed. Marcos collapsed as a dictator. We wonder whether the police and the army are going to wait until some of us are assassinated, killed, including myself, before they begin to come to their senses that they are supporting a criminal.
Earlier you mentioned they will wait until people are assassinated, including yourself. Are you worried about the possibility of assassination?
With this man, I'm worried about everything.
When Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak announced that Parliament would be dissolved ahead of the 13th general election, his then Deputy Muhyiddin Yassin stood proudly by his side. 5 years later, this is what Muhyiddin had to say about his former boss.
Besok, bila Parlimen sudah terbubar, saya tengok dalam televisyen tadi muka Perdana Menteri macam orang ketakutan. Muka dia tidak begitu kecil. Muka macam seorang penakut. Pasal dia tahu apa akan berlaku, iaitu BN akan tumbang bersyukur balak dalam pilihan gaya. So, dia takut, maka sebab itu kita ingatkan kawan-kawan kita di Johor. Jangan biarkan Najib, orang kita kidnap pilihan gaya, ambil alih hak kita. Kerana pastinya ini adalah sesuatu yang akan membawa kerugian kepada kita semua.
There seems to be something fishy about the Registrar of Society's announcement on Bersatu's provisional dissolution, according to UMNO veteran Rais Yathim. In a tweet last night, the former cabinet minister questioned the rationale behind ROS Director General Suryati Ibrahim calling for a press conference to announce the matter, instead of dealing with the party directly. Rais is the second veteran politician to voice out against the provisional dissolution imposed on Bersatu. Yesterday, former Minister Rafida Aziz called the move despicable and asked why the current administration, led by Prime Minister Najib, was so afraid that it must resort to every possible heavy-handed action in the playbook. And that's all from me today. For more stories, go to KiniTV.com. Please subscribe and share this video. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching. Also, wait, one more thing before I go. Subscribe to MalaysiaKini.com by clicking on the link below.